Hey guys. All right. Anyhow, look at those fucking those are fucking fire ant bites. I got fire ant bites all over me, man. Yeah, you can see them all over my arm, right there. Unreal, man. I got them on my wrist here. I mean, my whole body is covered in fire ant bites. I brought it all on myself, though. Everything is my fault. Everything is my fault. Even Charlie Kirk, that was all my. Everything is my fault. Just whatever it is, just blame me, man. So, yeah. All right. We're gonna get right back into the story. There's so much to talk about, man. Like, I wanted to say real quick too, like, the people that have been commenting about the story, I appreciate the comments, and like my previous video where I go into kind of addressing some of the comments. It isn't in disrespect to any commenter or anything. It's just the internet is a strange place. We all know the internet's a strange place, and so yeah. Anyway, so whatever. I don't want to get all sidetracked off on all that. So we'll just move on. All right. Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of backtrack, reach back in memory where I left off with the story, and I'm not gonna crunch for time. I'm just gonna relax and just try to tell the story. So where I left off was. I apologize. Where I left off on this story was where I had just gotten back from my job in Denver, and showed up at the place and nobody was there, and all this weird stuff was happening. And so I went out to my van to go get a cigarette because I was stressing out. And as soon as I opened the door, she was right there with her back to me. And I startled her because she didn't know I was there, and she startled me because I didn't know she was there. And then we started talking, okay? And remember, I am leaving out tons of crucial detail because this is a fucking massive saga that spans over 3 years. The saga spans over 3 years, and all of the events that took place are all interconnected to one big climax, okay? And so I'm kind of pushing through all this stuff to get to the climax. But everything else is as if not arguably more fascinating and important as the event itself. So we're in the event now. We're like we've crossed the threshold into the beginning of the event, which is day one of being back at home in this little tiny ghost town out in the middle of nowhere with a population of like 1,000 people. Okay, and we got a dead body. There's all kinds of speculation. People are saying it was a murder. My girlfriend claims it was suicide, and all this is like, so it's all getting weirder, right? It's getting weirder and weirder. So I'm back the first day back, and I've confronted her because she had blocked all communication off with me for 3 weeks, and broke up with me through a text while I was on an insane out of town job in Denver. So she broke up with me through a text, then cut off all communication with me after she agreed she would be moved out in 2 weeks. So this is 3 weeks. So if she had followed up on her word, which I'm a man of my word, just like the Joker says, all a man's got is his word. Okay. See, I understand this because I'm older. So if based off of her word, she shouldn't have even been there when I got back. And I would have been so relieved that she was just gone, just disappear. Just like that Corrosion of Conformity song, fly on, albatross, fly on. And I have to admit, I was relieved when she told me that she was going to break up with me. And that's what I think that upset her. Like, she was, part of the idea was to upset me when she told me she's going to break up with me. And I was just like, well, but I was just being honest with her. I was like, I mean, that sucks. I would have liked our relationship to have worked out. And if you feel it's time to move on, I'm not going to talk you out of it. I would rather that you stayed, but I'm not going to talk you out of it. But it was a big relief, because then it's like, good. Now I have the place that I got to myself, and she can go and do whatever she wants. I honestly don't care. I just don't care. And because that's the way I was about it, I think that was what triggered a whole new like a rage, like they say, a woman, what is that saying about a woman scorned? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I wasn't scorning her, but with the thing, she felt scorned, because I wasn't upset. I was relieved when she said that, she was, and if she would have followed through, man, it would have been amazing. It would have been like, okay, and I wouldn't have been mean. I wouldn't have had anything against her. It would have just been like, whatever, chalk it up to experience and move on. Who cares? Like, she thinks she don't want to continue. That's fine. Why? Well, who fucking cares? If I really care about her and I want her to be happy, and she's not happy in a relationship with me, then I would rather that she weren't with me, because, I want her to be happy, and all this is just me being honest. Like, I just don't give a fuck, dude, I guess, in many senses. I just don't care. Like, it's just all bullshit. It's all nonsense, you see, and that's the cynic. That's the cynic lens. All of this is just all nonsense anyway. So let's just get on with it. Get on with the nonsense, so that I can, have a little bit of time to myself at some point where, but it's all just nonsense. So whatever. I mean, do whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't, just keep it away from me. If it's like violent or negative, or, I got enough problems of my own, And so, but anyway, so when I get there, no, she's still there. Oliver, her RV is like, she didn't lift a finger to do anything to move. Okay. So then she's right there. We both startle each other. And then I'm like, what's going on? Like, what is happening? You're quitting your job. You're breaking up with me through a text for no reason. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, why can't you just talk to me? Is it another guy? And then that's when she went ghost white, and it was totally hilarious. Like, I was laughing, and also laughing at the idea of her with another guy, because, oh my God, dude, like she is nearly impossible. Like, I want to shake the hand of the man that can do a better job than I did in that relationship with her. If she found somebody better that can meet whatever it is that she's looking for, I want to shake that man's hand, because holy fuck, dude. Like, this is just being in a relationship with this bitch is like a 24/7 fucking job in and of itself. Like, this bitch is like, I mean, I've had it. Like, go, please. I hope you have found somebody that meets your expectations. The 666. Makes 6 figures a year, has 6-pack abs, and is 6 feet 6 inches tall, right? 666. And that goes back to the question. See, this story goes so deep, dude, like it just never ends. So the question is, well, don't you think maybe that she was just like using you? And it's like, dude, okay, this is an interesting question, and I'm not knocking the questioner. I don't know who the person is, and it's none of my business. And but let me put it to you this way. When is a woman not just using a man for money and a place to stay? Show me this mythological woman that is not just using a man for his 6-figure year income, his 6-pack abs, and his 6 foot 6 inch stature. Where is this mythological woman that's not looking for the 666? 6 figures a year, making the guy has to make 6 figures a year. He needs to have a perfect 6-pack abs body, tone, just perfect body, perfect income, perfect body, and perfect stature. Like, has to be over at least 6 feet tall. Where is this woman? Where's this? You guys, all you fucking dick swingers out there acting like that you have found some woman that is not just waiting to dump you like a bag of fucking rotten fucking potatoes as soon as the next guy, a better guy comes along. You don't think that the next guy that comes along that's better than you, that makes more money than you, and has a better fucking 6-pack ab figure and is a couple inches taller than you, that she's not just gonna drop you like a sack of fucking rotten fucking potatoes and leave you hanging with your fucking pants down and your dick in your pants while she's off with this fucking, I mean, where is this mythological woman that everybody keeps talking about? I've never seen her in my life. Women are just fucking prostitutes. That's all they are. That's all they are, dude. That's all a woman is. Dude, at this point, I have more respect for a fucking prostitute. Because at least the prostitute is honest. Yeah, I'm prostituting. These women, they're pretending. It's all about playing house. Let's pretend that I'm not a prostitute just using you for, a place to stay and whatever money you give me. And until the next guy who's better than you comes along, and I'll just fucking dump you and move on to the next one. This goes back to the question is, well, don't you think maybe she was just using you? And I'm like, well, show me this mythological woman that is not just a prostitute that's using you until the next better guy comes along and she dumps you for him. And I can always hear all these naysayers that are with their hopium fucking white-pilled bullshit of how this mythological woman actually exists in the world. And it's like, dude, that's a laughable joke. That'd be like me telling you that I've seen real-life unicorns. I've seen Pegasus horses flying around. And you're like saying, no, you haven't, bro. Nobody has. And I'm like, well, I have. And I rode on it. And it became my friend. And we flew into we were flying around and everything, and it's like, shut up. But the guy who claims that he's had a personal relationship with the flying Pegasus horse, and he lives the Clash of the Titanings, dude, it's just like bullshit. Where is this woman that isn't using men for money and a place to stay and a dick to fucking jam in between her fucking, where is this woman that doesn't use her vagina as an ATM machine at any given opportunity? Where? See, and that's the thing. And this is no offense to the questioner, because the question is not an unfair question per se. But it depends on who's asking it and the nuances surrounding the question. But it's like, where is this woman that's not using her vagina as a fucking ATM, that doesn't have these unreasonable expectations put on men that he must have a 6-figure income, 6-figure a year income, perfect 6-pack abs, and stand at least 6 foot tall or taller. And no matter how fat and ugly she is, that is the expectation. You can tell me till the cows come home that there's these women out there that aren't like that, and I'll never believe you, dude. I will never believe you. I'll believe it when I see it. Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. You hear all this shit about how this guy has this woman and she's just true to him and she's not superficial and she doesn't use her vagina like a fucking ATM and she's not using him and she's not cheating on him and all this stuff. It's like, Dude, I've never seen it. It's funny. My lying eyes deceive me, you know. The only women that potentially that are that where they're not just using a person is a woman who is physically unattractive. Of course, those women aren't. Of course, those women aren't doing that because they're physically unattractive. Like they have to lower their standards, you know. But even the majority of unattractive women, fat, ugly women, they all have the same unreasonable expectation put on men as well anyway. So again, where is this mythological creature, the woman that doesn't use men, that isn't a prostitute, prostituting herself? Doesn't exist. Of course, my lying eyes deceive me. Okay, so back to the story. I don't even know how long has this video gone so far? Or is it even recording? Okay, we're 15 minutes. So you see how this story can go all over the place? It goes everywhere, man. It's just unbelievable. It never ends. All right, so okay, so me and her are talking, right? Now, again, I'm going to have to leave tons of crucial detail out of this to power through. And so after all this crucial details that I have to skip over happen in this like 45-minute interaction between me and her, then she grabs her backpack and storms off saying, I'm not going to take this, because she's strong, empowered woman that isn't going to take it. When she's the one that fucking dumped me for another dude because she's been cheating on me. And she's the one that's the victim, and she is not going to be taking any of this from me. You know, I'm the unreasonable one. It's all projection, all this like totally insane. You know, just total... You know, just a complete fucking piece of shit dirtbag in every fucking sense imaginable. So she like storms off like she's the victim with her backpack. And I don't know where she went. I don't know. Who cares, right? And so now I got to figure out, what am I going to do? So now here we go with more details, more crucial details that some of these details I can't leave out because it's part, you know. So I've got 6 months left on my rent because we would pay by the year. We would just pay, you know, for a full year. And so there's still 6 months left on the fucking lease, and I'm paying for my half of the rent, and I'm the one that found that spot because the guy who owns the property, I worked for him and built a relationship with him over like 3 years, and where she didn't even know the dude, right? So I'm the one that got us that spot. And I'm still 6 months on my lease. What am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? You know, she's acted. This is the state of things. And so I'm like, fuck it. And I called a bunch of people. I'm trying to figure out, what should I do? I've never been in a situation like this. And the best advice I got, which was from more than one person, they said, basically, they're like, fuck that bitch. Just get all your gear, bring it inside, and sit down on the fucking couch and make it uncomfortable for her. Like, you by law, you don't have to go anywhere, you know? What is, dude, you know what I'm saying? And so that was the most reasonable advice I could get after talking to a bunch of different people on the phone trying to figure out. So I'm like, fuck it, that's true. That's the truth. One of them said, be careful though, because they might try to burn your shit down. Keep that in mind as the story goes on. And the person that told me that is a business owner. This is another thing. There's so many details to this story. Dude, all the people that I associate with in this town, they're all reputable people. When I met her, the people she associated in with town was like 3 people or 4, and none of them were reputable. They're all like scummy fucking cunts. And the whole time she was portraying herself as the victim of all these people, this small group of people around her, and that she's trapped and blah blah blah. And she was very convincing. You know, if you want to start talking about covert narcissists and psychopaths. We're going to have to go with psychopath. Psychopaths are convincing. That's why they're able to get away with being serial killers. Not all psychopaths are serial killers, but all serial killers are psychopaths. And the reason that serial killers get away with murdering multiples of people is because of their ability to be covert and not be detected. Think of the term reptilian, the conspiracy theory term reptilian. Yes, there is truth to the term reptilian or the conspiracy theory. Like, truth is stranger than fiction. These fucking psychopaths, man, they have everybody fooled. And that's not something to be proud of. That's not something to like that's shameful. That's why that they hide, is they're hiding all their shame. Their shame is building up and building up. And that's why they have to murder people, is to release that shame and all that bullshit that's going on. And so that's what I'm saying. You have to understand that that's what's going on with this chick. She's not like proud of being a player. No, she's got all this guilt and shame that is just building and building, and she keeps suppressing it and in denial. And this is what's been going on the whole time. And the more she suppresses it, the more is like she's like a living, breathing, walking like a powder keg, bomb just waiting to go off, which is what happened. It went off, and so, anyways, so she's gone, and I just said, fuck it, you're right. So I throw my shit in the place, and then now I have to skip over a bunch of other crucial detail, because I got to get this going, basically, like, I had a bunch of time to myself sitting there, like, what am I, and I found out a bunch of stuff on her computer, which is all crucial detail that I have to skip over, because this will end up being 29-hour series, So I found out a bunch of shit just in the first 24 hours. I'm like finding out all this crazy shit. And then I'm like with my thoughts, and I'm looking around like, what am I going to do? And it's a really weird situation, because I know I'm not going to be able to live with her, and I don't know if she's coming back or what. And I am a person who tends to lean more into madness rather than stepping away from the ledge of madness. I'm the type of person, I'm a personality type that's inclined to lean into madness rather than step back from it, if that makes sense, okay? Now, as far as that goes, I have a pretty good amount of practice, and I don't recommend people leaning into madness because but because I've been forced into like extreme madness, I'm familiar with it, and because of my years of familiarity with like extreme madness, I'm able, over a long period of time, I've just naturally, like anyone would, developed kind of a skill in being able to navigate madness as opposed to just like stepping away from it. And it's kind of like I have a kung fu, and I have a black belt in crazy, motherfucker, right? And you know what I'm saying, like, and so that's just my personality type, it's just like a thing, I'm a Gemini and shit like this too, so whatever. So because this is madness already, this is all pure madness, and so I'm like, okay, all right, you want to fuck around, bitch? That's because remember, like in the phone call where I said, dude, there's two ways to do this. We could do it the right way, but if you're going to burn bridges and you're going to try to fucking do everything you can to fuck me, I'm telling you, you're fucking with the wrong motherfucker, and you will lose, okay? And so after this interaction with her, it's obvious that she is not on the up and up at all. Because all she would have to do is just be like upfront with me. It's like, no problem, like whatever. But then she would also have to follow through with her word. Like she said, she would be moved out in 2 weeks. And I'm like, that's cool, whatever, And I'm not the type of person to hold grudges and shit. For real. I know these things sound like it doesn't fit my character, but it's true. Like, I know how to let go of grudges. I don't, and so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But she would have to do the right thing, like leave, like go ahead and move. Okay. You got to go. I'm sorry. I know it's that if you want to break up, that's part of breaking up is you got to move on, man, And so she's not being up and up at all. And I've caught her in several lies just during that 45-minute interaction. It's like, this bitch is a total liar. And I had never I never caught her lying at all before. Like, this is totally new, right? So I'm sitting there with my thoughts and like I said, I found out a bunch of shit because of her computer and she accidentally leaving her Facebook logged in on her computer. Okay. So that is a lot of crucial detail I have to skip over because this will go on and on. And so then I just decided, fuck it. Okay. She wants to fuck around. This is what I'm going to do. Everything that I have done, I'm taking it all down. Because I beautified the inside of the RV that me and her lived in. I'm the one that made it a home as opposed to just like a tweaker fucking Breaking Bad RV. I made it really nice. And our yard, we had a really nice yard. I made that really nice with shade net and built a fence for her dog because she can't even take care of her own fucking dog. So I built the fence actually for me because I don't want to be burdened with her bullshit. But anyways, I built this fence. I did all this. I did everything, dude. Everything. And so I'm like, all right, this bitch wants to play. She wants to act like I don't, here, I'm just going to take everything that I have done and take it all down without damaging any of her property. I'm just going to take everything I did and just completely remove everything that I've done and just leave her with the RV in the state it was before her and I got together. And I did it. And I stayed up and all night. I didn't sleep at all. And I just methodically and systematically went through every single fucking thing from the yard and the fence and all the shade net. Like, dude, we had a nice fucking place, dude. Because of me, I did every fucking thing. So I took everything down. Because dude, I'm like so used to slave labor. Like I'm used to going 17 hours straight, like just like working nonstop for 17 hours. And so I just treated it as a job. And I didn't do it with emotion where I was throwing shit and angry. No, I just did it very methodically, and just went through and systematically, methodically disabled and took down every fucking thing that I did until all that was left was just her RV in the state that it was before me and her got together. And you wouldn't even believe, like by the time I'm done, nothing functions because that's her. Nothing functions. And I didn't damage any of her prop. I was very meticulous in making sure I didn't damage any of her shit, And dude, I've been homeless for 10 years. So like, it don't matter to me. I'll live like that. I don't care. But see, I'm not the one burdened with it. She is. Like, she's the one that relies on that fence to keep her untamed dog from running out into the street because she doesn't know how to take care of a pit bull mastiff, all this stuff. So it's her loss, not mine. I could give a fuck. I just took everything that I did down, and then I was like, all right, let's live like this. I still got 6 months left on the lease. I'm not going anywhere, right? So I did that, okay? You see, this story it's a great fucking story, you guys. And so this is 30 minutes in. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up and we'll leave it there for now. But yes, that is, and I'm not, dude, I'm not lying at all. I wasn't running through, I did nothing to her property because I knew, at this point, I know what she's up to. I know. Like when that 45-minute interaction that me and her had when we both startled each other. And this is the first 24 hours of me being home. Okay. In that interaction, I remember one of the things I asked her is I said, are you a cop caller? Because all of a sudden she isn't even the same person that she had me believing she was for 3 years. So that was one of the things. So are you a cop caller? Are you going to try to figure out some way to have the cops called on me and shit? Because, anyways, this story is so fucking deep, dude. Are you a cop caller, though? And so I knew, like, I knew that there's a really, like, dude, at this point, she's completely unpredictable because she's a total psycho. And so when I approached, like, taking everything that I did down and disassembling everything that I did to make that place a home, I knew that if I didn't do it exact and correct, that she could use that against me and like call the cops that I I was damaging her property or something. So I knew I was very meticulous, very careful, very methodic, very exacting, very precise, and very surgical about that whole operation when I took everything down to where all that was left was a Breaking Bad fucking RV. And all I did was just the stuff that I did, because that's part of the point. She doesn't do anything. She has done nothing at all. Like, she has completely relied on me for every fucking thing because she's the victim of all the big trauma from the abuse from her last boyfriend and all. She just rode this like to the extreme, right? So I took it all down. And I'm telling you what, I did it because I wanted to gaslight her. I wanted to fuck her. I wanted to get her back. Going back to the idea, when a person steps on the toes of their fellow man, the fellow man retaliates in kind. That is just the law of that's a natural law. You can't go around and just stepping on all your fellows' toes and expect them to not retaliate in kind. And so I had reserved and was patient far longer than I should have been. And so this was my retaliation. I'm like, okay, bitch, you want to play a game. Let's play a game, bitch. And I took every fucking thing down. And because I knew, dude, there's some part of her that's like really, really dumb. And this is another thing, going back to the question is, well, when it was like, well, you think she was just like cheating on you and using you and this and that? It's like, dude, she would be too stupid to figure out how to do that and get away with it. There is some part of her that's like really dumb. And so when we're together, it didn't really matter to me because I knew that if she ever did that, like try to use me or try to cheat on me and this and that, I would catch her. And I'm not a cucked simp. Like I said, like, for example, just when we did the bills, like, it's like we pay half of the bills. You pay half, I pay half. Cool? Because if she wasn't cool with that, I'd be like, well, you're going to have to find some other guy then, because that's the way I roll, dude. Like, we split everything half and half. Whereas if I were a cucked and simped, I would be paying more than half of the rent and all this and that. But the thing is when I say I did everything, it's like there's a bunch of shit that needs to be done. And it's like physical shit. And she's a woman, and she's fucking, like, part of her is like really dumb. So it's like if I don't do it, it won't get done. And so I kept fucking doing all this shit. And then part of in a relationship is trusting the other person. And so I'm trusting that she's going to eventually recover from her trauma and stuff. And so I'm just like, okay, but then as time is going on, I'm getting ground down where I can't be what she wants me to be anymore. Like, she's going to have to, get help from a psychiatrist or something because, I mean, come on. Like, but anyways, so that was the only thing where I overextended myself. But that's partially because all that shit needed to get done. And if I didn't do it, it wouldn't get done. And so I'm doing everything as far as anything that had to do with physical, like building a fence for a dog, for a pit bull mastiff and shit like this. Like, that's me. But it ain't even my fucking dog. And the only reason I'm doing it is because it'll make my life easier, because otherwise her inability to take care of her own pit bull mastiff would burden me, would put more burden on me. And so if I built the fence, hopefully it would eliminate a bunch of fucking problems for me. And it just got like this. But now that doesn't mean she wasn't using me and even cheating on me. She could have been. But like I said, dude, if she were cheating on me during the time me and her were together, she wouldn't have been able to get away with it. Like, I would have found out. And I would have laughed. Like, maybe towards the end, she might have cheated on me. But by then, it was already over. Like I said, I had been planning for months for my exit, And I wouldn't even care. I would have cared. But what it would have been is I would have physically harmed the guy. Is what I would have, and it would have given me a perfect excuse to break up with her, where it's like, bitch, get the fuck out of my, because like I did the whole time. See, this covert malignant narcissist. Now, she is like also vulnerable, which is similar, almost the same as a covert narcissist. It is the same. Covert narcissist / vulnerable narcissist is so closely the same that, in general terms, it is the same. But like the vulnerable part of her, like I said, she's quiet, shy, timid, reserved, frail, like, all that. That is the vulnerable narcissist. And then you have the grandiose narcissist, which is the one that's like, oh yeah, I'm a player. Look at my bling bling. I'm a player, boom. That's a grandiose narcissist. Whereas a vulnerable narcissist is always quiet, reserved, frail, shy, timid, doesn't hurt a fly, is just so innocent because they're just such a victim of all their trauma. Like that. That's a vulnerable narcissist. And they use that vulnerable thing, not the grandiose where, oh yeah, I'm a player, bitch. I'm a player. Don't hate me. Hate the game, bitch. No, she was like the plain Jane, from Little House on the Prairie kind of vibe with her. More like that than like, oh, I'm a gangster player, I'm just a player, So, yeah, no, it's vulnerable narcissist with her. Like, totally vulnerable. But the thing is vulnerable. And this gets in, like, narcissism goes way deep, Like, you try to understand narcissism, like, it's not easy to understand, But anyhow, So, and so anyways, I'll leave it there. I know this is like a 45-minute video, 38. Trying to think, is there anything I can do to close it up? But anyway, so she's gone. I don't know where she is. I fucking methodically, surgically take everything apart and down that I did to make the place we lived a home. And by the time I was done, it was like a Breaking Bad fucking RV, which is what her RV was before we got together. Like, so it's just like, okay, bitch, you want to play? Here's your fucking Breaking Bad fucking tweaker RV then. And now what? I still got 6 months left on my lease. I ain't going nowhere. So now, what's your next move? What are you gonna do now? and dude, that was the woman. What is it? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. That was me retaliating. Okay? You step on the toes of your fellow brother is going to retaliate in kind. So that was my first retaliation, where I'm like, all right, bitch, let's play a game. Here, this is my move. Now what's your move? And that's when hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. When she found out about that, which was by the next day, scorned. She felt totally scorned because as I warned her, I said, if you are going to try to fuck with me, I guarantee you will lose. And the pride before the fall, she was very proud and she was very she thought that she just had me and that she was just going to squash me like a bug. And so she didn't expect me to do what I did. And when I did what I did, it fucking upset her really bad, which gave her an opportunity to play the victim. So that's where we'll leave it. So the next video we'll go into victimhood, okay?